Hello everybody, how are you? We are at pattern-collections.com. That is the website. It is not an app, it is a website. And in order to continue on with lesson number 2 of the grid journey, we're going to go here to write-ups and we're going to find the grid journey, which is right here. And lesson number 2 is there. And if you followed along with lesson number 1 of the grid journey, you will remember that we used the pattern Amy Base. And we did all of these different ways to do it. All the same direction, different directions, turning different things, multiple different ways that we did this pattern. So we're going to continue on with that sort of vein. And lesson 2 is going to be that grids don't always have to be in a square like this. They don't have to be like that. Grids can be all sorts of different ways. They can be a single row to make a border, like this one. Here's a little border here. They can be in a double row to make it still a border. I use that quite a bit when I'm doing bookmarks. She's got a template here for practicing of single rows and double rows, which I have printed out right here. There's a single ribbon practice sheet and a double ribbon practice sheet. I'm going to work on those a little bit. And then she says, this could get a little boring. So let's take another step and get a warped grid. And so she has created a practice sheet that looks like this. Let me zoom out just a smidge so you can see it. With warped grids. Your grid doesn't have to stay straight. And there's this kind of warped grid where they're still evenly spaced. They're just like curved. And then there's the warped grid where they get different spaced, which is where I tend to go when I do a warped grid. So she prepared these practice sheets for us. You have the option not only to warp the horizontal lines, or you can take this one step further and warp both the horizontal and the vertical lines and continue on from there. And she says, just go for it, play. And that's it for the lesson. The lesson itself is fairly straightforward and explanatory. It's just changing your grid to a single row or a double row or warping your grid. So I'm going to continue on using that Amy base that we used before. I'm going to continue with my green pen. I'm going to turn on the light so you guys can see better, so I can see better. Oh, look, what a nice, lovely, even light that is when you turn the light on. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and do these like this, all the same direction to start. And I did them this way. Oh. Interesting. I turned them the other direction. That's okay. We'll do them this way. We'll do them all this way. As long as they're all going the same way, it doesn't matter. We'll do one ribbon where they're all going the same direction. And it looks like this. Right simple. Simple, easy, all going the same way. There we go. Easy peasy. I'm not going to do the whole row because, you know, you guys don't need to watch me do the same thing over and over, but I am going to zoom in a little bit and let's do them going different directions. Like that. With one going this way, and one going this way, and one going this way, this way. We're just going to practice different ways. We could do one ribbon, right? Let's do them all with the first one going the same direction like that top one. But then let's do them with our loop thing going some from the top, some from the bottom. That looks different, right? We can do that in a pattern. We could do, let's do that zigzag again. And let's do, again, some from the bottom, some from the top, going the other direction. And now it looks different. It's the same pattern, but now it looks different again. So we can practice all different ways that we can do this pattern. Like I could decide, I want to do this pattern, I'm going to do this line twice, like that. And then I'm going to do this. Still the same base pattern. Haven't changed really much about it other than I've got two of them in one square. So all different ways that we could do this Amy base pattern in ribbons. And then we can do the same exact thing in rows. So let's just do a couple of them. You guys, I'm sure, get the idea. I don't need to go on and on about it, but you'll get the idea. And then doing them all the same. I'm not too sure why I'm drawing in green today. Drew in green the other day too. So they're all going the same direction. You can do them going, once again, going the opposite directions. But with each row being the same, like that. Okay. All coming from the bottom. Like that. Right? All going like I did before. Let me look at the one I just finished. I did all going the same direction, but some are coming from the bottom and some are coming from the top. Right? So then let's do the top and the bottom, from the top and the bottom, from the top. Okay, so it looks like that. Or we could do this same thing but instead of going bottom, top, well, you'll see what I mean. We'll go bottom, top, bottom, top. And instead of this one being opposite, it'll be the same. So it'll be the same here, and then the top there, and then the bottom here, top there, bottom here. And that one looks different to that one. Even though they're still one on the bottom, one on the top, they're in a different location. See how every time you turn the pattern, it looks different? And then, of course, we can do the same thing in a warp, either direction. But I was going to show you how I liked my warp grids when I do a full tile. And to do that, I'm going to get out a piece of paper. I am going to use my pencil and create myself a little border, because I like to have a border around my work. It's not a super straight border. And since I'm doing a wonky grid anyways, it doesn't really matter. Can you guys see that? It's not in focus. Ooh. Okay. And then I'm going to curve my vertical lines. And it doesn't matter if they are the same width or anything. As a matter of fact, I like them when they're not, when they're way off. Can you see that? And then I'm going to do the same thing with my horizontal lines. I'm going to give them a bit of shape. And then I'm on this outer edge here. I think I'm going to go ahead and follow that pencil line so that I have no kind of straight edge. That one's got a straight edge, but that's okay. All right, so now I've got that. I'm going to roughly follow those lines in my pen. Now you should be able to see it better. Okay. Go this way. I probably should have done those edge pieces first instead of last, but that's all right. Because I often don't really like grid patterns, because I find a flow a little more exciting and interesting. I like curves more than I like straights. I will tend to do a warped grid when I do a grid pattern. That way I get those flowy lines even when I'm doing a grid. Not always. I mean, I try to mix it up and do different types because, you know, Some of you guys really like the more precise grids. Some of you get really into it and want to do measured out exact grids, the engineers in you, and that's cool. Absolutely. You want to measure your stuff, measure your stuff. I like these sort of really free-flowing, but you see how not one of these grids, these squares, are the same. So now I'm going to do that pattern to decide which way I want to do it. I'm going to go like this one. When we did these ones previously, there was all going one direction. There was going this way and this way, where they were turned. There's this way, there's this way, there's this way. I think I'm going to do it this way, where I turn my thing around where it ends up with these little butterfly shapes, not this little flower shape. I think I want this little butterfly-like shape. So, in order to do that, I want to go this direction, this direction. So I'm still going corner to corner. It's just each line ends up different, right? And then it goes here, and here, and here, and here, and there, and there, and there. Okay? Now the next row goes the opposite direction. So it's going to go this way, and then this way, this way, that way, that way, that way, and that way. And then in order to get that butterfly-like shape, I'm going to have one that goes here, and then one that goes here, and then one that goes here, and here, and here, and there, and there. Then the next row, this row will match this row. So it's going to go that way. And then where do I have that one? I have it coming down into this corner, right? And then I have this one coming from this corner up. It's a little more difficult when the grid isn't straight to see your pattern, but to me that makes it all the more interesting and fun. Okay, so now I'm just going to continue on doing that same thing, going this way, just going to fill in the whole thing with the straight lines now that I've got the idea of my pattern. Each row goes opposite from the one before. And that one would go that way, but you don't see that part. So then this one's going to go, this is like not a whole strip. So I'm going to start over here because that would be easier for me to recognize the pattern. We'll leave that corner for just a moment, right? So now, each of these is going to create this little butterfly shape. So I can go ahead and put that. That makes it easier for me. So in this stripe, that one goes this way, which means the other one's going to go here. Right? Oh my, I've lost my stripe. I probably shouldn't have done what I did. By putting in all my triangles before finishing my stripe, I've lost my stripe. So I need to, here's my stripe, here's my stripe, here's my stripe. So this one's my stripe. I'm going to cover that up. That one's my stripe. So it needs to go here, and then there, and then here, and then there, and then here. I need to cover up with something other than my hand because you can't probably see. And then there. And here, right? I think so. I'm going to use a piece of paper. Kind of cover my stripe. Okay, I think I got it all. So there's the next stripe right there. And it needs to match this one. Right? Right? So it needs to go this way. So it needs to go this way, and then this way, and then this way. It does make it much more challenging once you get the warpy grid. That way. I've created myself a big challenge. I should be able to do just these butterfly shapes now, and the only place where I'll have problems is at the edges, right? So I should be able to make these butterfly shapes. Next one is goes this way, then an empty triangle, and then this way, and then an empty triangle there, and then this way. Empty there. I'm confused. I made this very difficult on myself, didn't I? I did make this very difficult on myself. Where's my grid? That one's a grid. I've lost my spot. Now, this is something that can happen, and it's okay. You can fix it. There's a variety of techniques and tips that you can do to fix the fact that you've lost your way. I am going to use my pencil and I'm going to find my grid again. So this was a grid here. And this was here. And this is here. And this one's here. 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 And here. Okay. That might help me. I don't know if you can see it really well on the camera, but I've given myself that little bit of graphite so I can pay attention to where in the row I need to go. And I think what confused me is that I already did these. So I need to go down, up, down, up, and those are already there. So I really just need to draw these to be in the same orientation here. And then you skip that one, it goes on the top, you skip that one, and this is at the bottom. Right? So it should have an empty, a teardrop, an empty, a teardrop, an empty, a teardrop. Every other one should be empty, teardrop. Teardrop, empty, teardrop, empty, teardrop, empty. Yes, that's correct. Okay. So now, same thing the other direction. So in this row, there needs to be these ones. Right? So the teardrop is in this one. So the other one comes out from here going this way. Yep, that is correct. Then from here they go this way. And then this way. Just coming up this way. Okay. Ta-da! I did it. Now that's just to show you that you can take a pattern that appears to be a super easy, simple, oh, it's just this one, right? Was it that one? I don't know, it was one of these. Super easy pattern. And make it absolutely complicated for yourself and give yourself a really big challenge, but it's so much fun. I encourage you to find, if you last week practiced with some of these grid patterns and found a base pattern that you really liked that was simple but that you could play with and turn it different directions, try this. Try putting it on a double warped grid where it's warped in both the horizontal and the vertical. That's what this is, a double warped grid. And that makes it super complex. But to me, it also makes it very interesting. And now at this point, if I wanted to, I could take this and embellish this pattern in a variety of ways. Like I could take some of these triangles and fill them in with another pattern. I could take this here, this little feathery bit, and I could make more like those. Let's do that. Don't know why I didn't go all the way to the tip there. Interesting design choice in that spot. I'm going to fill in all of these. It's hard to figure out which way to go first. Let's do this. They're all going to have different numbers of leaves because I've gone different directions with the little, you know, whatever I was trying to say. Yeah, they're all different size triangles, so they'll have different number of petals to fill in that space. I just realized I'm off camera. Sorry guys. I do that occasionally, and it happens mostly when I'm really getting into it and I've forgotten that I'm on camera and that I need to be paying attention that you guys can see what I'm doing. It happens. I do my best to not do that, but sometimes I just do. Especially if I don't move my page or turn my page. I'm better at it if I'm moving and turning my page to keep it in a spot. Turn my page. To me, it's easier to do these feathery things coming this direction toward me. Coming up and upward and down, which of course is not the direction you guys are seeing me draw it. You're seeing me drawing it like sideways. I'm just going to show you how we can take this simple pattern and embellish it and make it look different. Okay, and turn it around one more time. They kind of look like little shuttlecocks when they don't have both sides done, but I want both sides done. So the whole point of this is to take a grid pattern, any grid pattern that you like, find just the one square and just play and experiment with different shapes. You don't have to follow the exact step out exactly the way it's written, because the way it's written is just having that grid turned in one direction, and you can absolutely turn things in different directions and get patterns that look completely different just based on how you've turned your page and turned that particular grid, the grid square. Not too sure why on some of these I didn't go all the way up to the line. That's interesting design choice I made there while I was drawing. I'm going to turn these around. Some of them I missed them. That one's upside down, that one's upside down. I missed quite a few going this direction. Here and here. And one going this way. It's kind of a small one. One going this way. All right, did I get them all? I think I did. Look how pretty that is. I like that. And you know, I'm going to go ahead and finish this off and make it something. This is warped grid Amy base. Okay, so I did a warped grid starting with the Amy base, and I think I'm going to get my white pencil and I'm going to highlight this, because I kind of think that's where I'm headed with this one. This might take me just a second. You can absolutely fast forward through this part. Don't have to watch me do this. And I may decide to add some graphite. I haven't decided yet, so I'm going to wait until I'm done with my white to see what I think it looks like. And if it needs some more contrast, then I will definitely bring in some darker tones with some graphite, which I think I may need. I'm not sure yet. And it's okay to be not sure in your artwork what you're doing. You know, to just start, say, well, you know, I'm going to try it with white. And then just continue on. And once you've started, just do the same thing over and over again, because doing something once is a mistake. Doing it multiple times is a pattern. Whether it was something you intended or had in your head or not is completely irrelevant, because sometimes your work just wants to be what it is. So many times I will hear artists say, well, it's not, I don't like it because it didn't turn out the way I expected. Well, the only person who knows what your expectation was in your head is you. And if you don't tell people that it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to turn out, no one will know. all I see when I see somebody's work, when they say, oh, I don't like it because it didn't turn out the way I expected, or I don't like the way X, Y, and Z looks, it's like, I think it looks fine. I don't see your expectations. I can't sit there and compare it side by side with what you thought it should look like. The only one doing that is you. You're doing that in your own head. We only see the finished result. We don't see the expectation. And so most of the time you're way too hard on yourself. And unless for some reason something comes out completely, like really off the rails, most of the time, no one's going to notice. You are your own worst critic. So don't beat yourself up if it doesn't turn out the way you had it in your head. Now see, that's enough contrast now for me. Thought it was going to need something darker, but now I don't think so. Now I think I'm fine. It just needed that pop of white to just bring that liveliness to the forefront. If I did want some more contrast, what I would do is probably put a little darkness in here. Let me just show you what I would do if I thought it really needed it. Is something like that. See how now it kind of really pops off the page? But I don't think I need it. And I think I'm going to get rid of that because I really like it. Today, I like it flat. There's nothing wrong with it being more dimensional and shaded. But there's also nothing wrong with it being flat. You can do whatever you want. And today, I think I like it this flat way instead. So I'm going to try to get rid of that shading that I put in there. Rub a little harder than I normally do. Well, mostly because I don't usually scrub it in if I don't think I like it. If I shade someplace and I'm not sure I'm going to like it, I don't usually blend it out like that. So let me put some of that white back because I think I lost some of it in my erasing. Okay, it's basically gone. All right, so that's the tile I made for today. Really wasn't planning on making a tile. I was gonna show you the practice pages. There's the single ribbon practice page. There's the double ribbon practice page. And then, of course, there's the warped grid practice page that I didn't use. I chose to do my own. But you do whatever you want to do. This is your lesson. This is your journey. This is your grid journey. And if you don't want to follow along step by step through the grid journey, that's up to you. I'm just going through the grid journey as Ina has set it out for us, and I'm just seeing what happens and what comes of it and what flows from it and what ideas spring up from it. It's not a this is what you have to do and this is the only way to do it. That's not this kind of class. These classes are to encourage you to create your own thing and to think in different ways. And if just taking a pattern and turning it one by one around and around and making different ways to make the pattern come to life by just turning things, that's awesome. And if you can't visualize it, then absolutely do what was suggested in last week's or last lesson, which is to take your pattern, and maybe I'll do that. I don't know, maybe I'll do that coming up. Take your pattern, draw it out, and then cut it up, and then start turning things just physically, because maybe that will help spark something in your head that you hadn't thought of before, and that you couldn't visualize by turning it just in your head and following the turning that where she showed you how to turn the A's different directions. If you can't figure that out, absolutely physically cut up your piece and rearrange it. I think that's a really great lesson. Anyways, that's enough for me today. I've rambled on long enough. Next time we are going to do a pattern. I haven't decided which one yet. And then on the 8th, on next Monday, we will do more playing with base patterns. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do yet. Haven't planned it completely out yet, but I have read ahead on the grid journey, and the next one is going to be base patterns. So first we've done Amy base. Now we've worked on practice sheets with single ribbon, double ribbon, and warped grids. And next time we're going to do base patterns. So I will see you on the next video. You guys have a great day. Go out and do something nice for someone today. Make the world a better place, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.